We're back here on Open in national news. A Dallas-Fort Worth police officer is arrested and charged with murder, and the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas community remains in a state of heightened alert. This after yet another police officer involved shooting leaves an innocent person dead in their home. The shooting death of Atiana Jefferson is now raising questions and calls for justice. Jefferson was shot to death by a Fort Worth police officer, Daren Dean. Officers were responding to a wellness call made by a concerned neighbor. Jefferson was playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew and reportedly went to the window after hearing noise from outside. Subsequently, following the shooting, Dean was placed on administrative leave and then later resigned from the force. Authorities later charged him with murder, as this shooting comes on the heels of recent shootings. Botham Jean and many individuals are now wondering, is justice really being served? Botham Jean was shot in his home by Amber Geiger. Geiger was recently sentenced to prison, but many people still questioning the question about whether or not justice was actually served there. Joining us now to tell us more details and to answer a few questions for us is the Reverend Dr. Frederick D. Haynes, who's also the senior pastor at the Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, where he has served in the area for 37 years. And Dr. Haynes, good to have you.
Thank you so much, Brother Daren. How are you?
I'm doing good. Listen, let's get right to it. Your reaction, first of all, to the murder charge going against Officer Daren Dean.
Well, I think that the Fort Worth Police Department recognizes the pressure that they are under, and so they orchestrated this quote-unquote murder charge, and Tarrant County recognizes this does not look good in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But number one, I don't want us to relax for 1 second because the murder charge is not an indictment. It has no teeth in terms of our pursuit of justice in this case. Number two, one of the things that I think all of us should be outraged about is beyond the murder of this beautiful young lady, this aunt, to add insult to injustice or injury, some may say, they interrogated her 8-year-old nephew. And a traumatized 8-year-old nephew gets interrogated about, what happened that night. And I'm sorry, that is crossing a line. And so right now, to be very honest with you, those of us in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, as I'm sure around the country, are not falling for the okie doke. This murder charge is not something for us to get hyped and excited about because, again, it is not an indictment. And then number two, we are definitely disgusted over the interrogation of this 8-year-old child. And let me just also say this. The other thing that we have to keep pushing for, and that is an independent investigation. We do not trust the Fort Worth Police Department to investigate itself.
Right, and so let me just jump in and ask you, who exactly are you looking for to come in and investigate? There was talks about possibly the sheriff's office, federal government. Who would you like to see come and investigate?
Well, we definitely don't want the federal government under this administration. And so we are looking at the sheriff's department as an option. But again, we do not trust the Fort Worth Police Department. And for that matter, I'm not too keen on the federal government at this point.
Give me a little bit about the state of tension right now in Dallas-Fort Worth. A lot of people concerned across the nation, and you hear a lot of public comments across the nation. But what is the actual state in Dallas-Fort Worth right now?
I mean, it's tense. We have reached a point where, again, on one level, we recognize we're not safe in our own sanctuaries, our own homes. At the same time, I mean, calling 911, becomes, a Russian roulette game where you just don't know how it's going to turn out. And so the word on the street now is we've got to come up with some alternative means for protecting ourselves because it's too dangerous to call the police because there is something in the water of white supremacy in this nation and in the training of police officers that when they come come to our community or when they find themselves in proximity to a black body, their only response is not to de-escalate, but instead to not only escalate, but indeed, kill, the person that they have already deemed a threat to them.
You spoke pretty profoundly during the Botham Jean case. You were very outspoken during that case with the case of Amber Geiger. And that case just concluded. Looking now at this particular shooting, a lot of lessons people have learned from the first case. What do you take into this experience that you want the public to also pay attention to?
Well, number one, it's going to be very important that we keep the pressure up. We are planning a day of outrage. We're working on the dates. Some have said the 28th, some have said the 27th. And so we're going to have a massive protest march and movement because one of the things that we are clear on, and that is that the system does respond to pressure. One of the things that people want to overlook about the Botham Jean piece is the fact that, it started out with a manslaughter charge. It was upgraded to a murder charge because of the pressure that was put on by protesters. And so we are going to maintain our pressure, and we're going to protest until we get an indictment for murder. We also want to encourage our people to serve on juries because when we serve on juries, it indeed makes a difference. And the bottom line is we're just going to be vigilant and we're going to pursue changes, most importantly, in the Fort Worth Police Department. Daren, it's very important for the nation to know this, and that is since June 1st, in Fort Worth alone, there have been 7 police officer-involved shootings. 6 of them have resulted in death. And so, unfortunately, what happened with our dear sister Jefferson, it's not isolated, it's not new. Fort Worth has a history, and so now we have to learn the lesson of pursuing systemic change. If we don't pursue systemic change, we'll be back here again.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll have to leave it there. The Reverend Dr. Frederick D. Haynes III, Senior Pastor of the Friendship West Baptist Church, also a huge social activist in the city of Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much, Dr. Haynes, for joining us here on Open.
Thank you so much.
All right. Taking a quick break. We've got more Open. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this.